Ron Beer here of Mountain Rock. What I got today is a couple of Epiphone ES335s I'd like to go over. So the first one, this is a 2019, it's the ES335 Pro Limited Edition Custom Shop. I hope you can see that here. Okay. And then this is a 2020. It's a late 2020. I think the box said December on it. So it's inspired by Gibson ES335. Okay, so I guess I'll start with this one here. So I've looked up all the specs on both guitars, and here's really what you need to know. So the top and the back on the inspired by is just 5 plies maple, and the sides 3 plies maple. Okay, then you got the mahogany neck, Indian laurel fretboard. Okay, so there's the wood. So the 19 Pro Custom Shop, the front and the back is 5 plies maple and birch with 3 ply maple on the sides. And you've got a Powell Faro fingerboard and the mahogany neck all the same. Okay, so here I'm going to give you my 2 cents. When I come and think about an ES335, I want to have a rosewood fingerboard. Absolutely. And the Pro here has the coil splitting. And that's not what I think about when I think of a Gibson ES335. And you know, so of course I want something as close to a Gibson as possible. And then all these electronics are just Epiphone, the pots and the jack and the switch. This one sounds better regardless. For some reason the pickups are the same. They're both these classic Pro buckers. Same pickups in both of them. I'm thinking it's the wood, because I've got the pickups set at the same height, everything. And you know, in my mind too, this inspired by Gibson, it's got CTS pots. It does not have the coil splitting though. I wanted this one to sound better. You know, I bought the Pro first. I liked it so much, and then these came out. I said, okay, I'm going to get the brown burst. The neck profiles on both of them are really close. This Pro one, I think, was stated in the specs that it was a 60s profile. Well, they're both 60s profile, but this one made from their custom shop, the feel is a little different. I like it a little more. So this inspired by Gibson, let's go to the fretwork. I had to do a whole bunch to it. It had real horrible fret sprout, and this kind of stuff doesn't bother me. And then I had to level some frets. Where the Pro here, from the Epiphone Custom Shop, if there is such a place, I'd have to do anything to the frets. They were just right on. There wasn't any high frets. There wasn't any sprout. These are more vintage style. They're you know, narrower frets, where the Pro has more modern medium jumbo. And I happen to like the smaller vintage style frets, but these I like better. And then so as for the headstock, yeah, I kind of like this inspired by Gibson headstock better. But this big bell one, well, actually I think it looks great on this guitar. So I like both. And the Pal Pharaoh, I have oiled this board up. I oil all my fretboards up with linseed oil. It darkened it up. So, you know, right out of the box, I was not impressed. This was the first guitar I've ever had with Pal Pharaoh fingerboard. But getting it to darken up was really cool. And what I'm going to tell you, between this and the Indian Laurel, well, I think this is better wood. It's a denser, tight wood. You know, I use the 4/0 steel wool with the linseed oil. Man, this thing buffed out really great. Where the Indian Laurel is more porous, the Pal Pharaoh is a denser wood. They say it sounds snappier, like when they're taking blanks of wood and hitting it, than the Indian Laurel. But the Indian Laurel looks a little more like rosewood, but it is porous. And this guitar, like the fit and finish on it, this Pro model, flawless. Where there's a few flaws in this Inspired by Gibson. It's not a big deal. But neither one of these guitars, I've replaced nothing on them at all. Okay, now I'm going to go to the tuners here. So on this Inspired by Gibson, it's a Cluson. They're Clusons, regardless of what they say. I mean, these say Epiphone Deluxe. And, you know, I've got Clusons on Gibsons. It's the same thing, okay? I like these. They work. When you tune, you just want to tune it real flat before bringing it up. Like, you want to go more flat than other tuners, like, let's say, Grover's. So I just, boom, get it way down there and crank it up. Okay, so the Pro, though, it's got the green tint ones, but these are Wilkinsons. Cluson, copy all the same. These Wilkinsons are a little better. So I started with this. I wanted a guitar that was a little more like a real Gibson. Oh, and here's another thing. The mounting for this pickguard is very, well, it's Epiphone mount, okay? The Inspired by Gibson, it's like a Gibson. And it's got a smaller pickguard. And they're both 3-ply. Now, like I said, I like everything that, if it's a Gibson copy guitar, I like it to look as close to Gibson as possible. But really, after having this, well, I think that the way they did this on this Epiphone Pro actually looks cleaner. I don't mind the pickguard being a little bit bigger. I kind of wish it was this size, but you know. Now another thing is this guitar, the Pro, sounds better played acoustically. Probably because there are layers of birchwood on the back and sides. And what gets me is, I bought this guitar in, I think like January. Yeah, it was January of 2000. And this is a 19 year. And it was $469. And then I bought this one, I think it was, you know, somewhere in the spring of 2021. And it was $549. So it's like you got more for less here. So my advice is, if you don't mind the Big Bell headstock versus the Inspired by Gibson headstock, I'd try to find one of these used. Just my opinion. Okay, I'm going to post another video hopefully this weekend or maybe next week. Just give me a few days. I got to string these up. I was going to do a video with where I reviewed them and played, but one, I popped a string when I was tuning it up. That I figured, you know, they were both dead, the strings on both guitars, so that would have been a pretty even comparison. So I'm going to have to string both of them up, and I'll play each one of them for a couple hours, and then I'll do a video. So I hope this showed you a few things, as crude a video as this may be, with no editing or anything, and totally unrehearsed. But yeah, that's the deal. That's my opinion on these, and you can hear for yourself on the next video. Thanks for watching.